everyone, and welcome back to Arts and Crafts and CPTSD. Today I'm going to tell you the story of how In-N-Out saved my life. For those who don't know, In-N-Out is a fast food chain that started in California and has now spread to bordering states. They focus on burgers, fries, and shakes and have a not-so-secret menu, including making items animal style or just generally mixing their ingredients. And last year, their animal-style fries and Neapolitan milkshake saved my life. In December 2024, I was drowning. It had been 4 months since I had recovered repressed memories of my childhood abuse, and 3 months since I had left work to start a partial hospitalization program. November and December were filled with holiday events and friends and family's birthdays, which are usually really fun, but with my mental health being at an all-time low, each just felt like a test of how normal I could act around people who were truly happy, and had no idea why I was so truly not. I felt overwhelmed with social obligations on top of my daily group therapy, and then on top of that, my time off of work was quickly coming to an end. In November, I had to step down from partial hospitalization, or PHP, which is 6 hours of group therapy a day, 5 days a week. I had to step down from that to an intensive outpatient program, or IOP, which is 3 hours of group therapy a day, 5 days a week. The hardest part of stepping down to IOP was being apart from the other patients in PHP. Over the course of 2 months, sharing our deepest trauma and seeing each other daily, I had gotten really close to my PHP group. Switching to IOP meant being with people I didn't know nearly as well, and losing the connections I had made in PHP. I felt discouraged and like I was losing the progress I had made. The beginning of December also meant that I had used up my 12 weeks of legally protected medical leave, and my boss wanted me back at work. I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like I could be a competent lawyer or return to work while maintaining my sanity. I worked with my therapist to prepare a script, asking my boss for more time, and when the time came, I told him I wasn't ready to return to work. I asked for a few more weeks of medical leave, and he said, "But where does it end?" He pushed back and asked me to return at least part-time in December and then full-time in January. It felt like a reprimand, like I was scolded for taking time off and asking for more. I shut down. I felt vulnerable, dejected, and honestly was scared of returning to work too early. If I'm honest, I was mostly worried it would reflect poorly on me if I went back to work and did a bad job, rather than worried about how my mental health would be affected. With the convergence of holiday obligations, changes in my therapy program, and feeling forced to return to work, I felt stuck, trapped. I felt like I wasn't getting better, and even if I was getting better, I felt like it wasn't enough, wasn't fast enough, wasn't better enough. I felt like I was drowning in a deep, dark, bottomless ocean, like I had been drowning for a while, and like everyone was sick of it. They were tired of me still drowning. I thought about ending things a lot, constantly. I had the almost constant urge to harm myself. I stopped letting myself eat. I think this was a way to hurt or punish myself that wasn't as visible as exterior injuries. I was barely hanging on, but something inside of me knew I still had to fight. Some small part of me was still kicking her feet wildly under the water, still gasping for air, trying to swim to safety. One night, I dropped my fiancé off at a movie and had the house to myself for a bit. I don't know if having some alone time was the push I needed, but I decided to do everything I could to feel better. I drove to In-N-Out and got my patent-pending sad girl meal. Animal-style fries, French fries with melted cheese, grilled onions, and spread, which is their version of Thousand Island, and a Neapolitan shake, vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry ice cream swirled together. After not allowing myself to eat for a week, allowing myself this treat felt like giving myself permission to live, permission to feel nourished, to feel comforted. My church that night was hot French fries topped with sweet caramelized onions, creamy melted cheese, and cold tangy sauce, washed down with icy, decadently sweet mix of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Although it may sound silly or stupid or inane, at my darkest moment I was searching for anything to hold on to, and delicious food seemed as good a reason as any not to end things. I then pulled out my journal. The week prior, I had a secret, desperate hope that someone would save me, that someone would write me asking me not to end things, and that night I decided to write to myself. Now, inside and outside of therapy, I've journaled a lot. I've responded to prompts that ask you to write to your younger self or your future self, etc., etc. But there is something different about writing to the current version of myself, to face who I was in the moment and how I was harming myself. I immediately started crying. I told myself that I loved her, even if I didn't always show it. I apologized for how I had been treating her. I apologized for what she had gone through, and I let her know that she deserved so much more than the abuse that she had faced. I told her the things I liked about her, and I ended everything by pleading to her, please, keep living. Suddenly I could breathe. I was still in the middle of a vast and dark ocean, but I wasn't drowning. That letter was the first time that I really felt the duality of self-hatred and self-harm. That in perpetuating self-hatred, you were both the bullied and the bully, the victim and the perpetrator. And that if I wanted to stop being hurt, I had to stop hurting myself. And reading nice things about myself, knowing that somebody wanted me to live, these things weren't less meaningful because I wrote them about myself. They were infinitely more meaningful because I wrote them about myself. That night, that meal, and that letter marked a significant turning point for me in my recovery. It helped me gain the clarity, strength, and resolve I needed to finish my intensive outpatient program by the end of December and transition back into my everyday life. After that night, I would revisit that letter a lot. Anytime I struggled with thoughts of self-harm or ending things, I would read that letter. That night showed me how I can have agency in my own life and my recovery. I thought I wanted someone to save me. I thought I wanted someone to come in and show me that life was worth living, a la It's a Wonderful Life. But the truth is that what I needed was to find those things for myself. One of the reasons I think my letter was so impactful is that it was purely between me and myself. I could trust it. I could trust the source, myself, and I could trust the belief that I needed to keep living because I had reached that conclusion on my own. I was thinking recently about how different my life was 1 year ago. My life is not the same as it was before I learned about my trauma. It's infinitely better. I feel things. I enjoy things more deeply. I have a better grasp on how to care for myself and my CPTSD. And as we enter the 2025 holiday season, I'm grateful that I can genuinely enjoy the holiday festivities. I look back at 2024 me who faced such darkness, who felt hopeless and yet fought so hard to keep going, and I'm eternally grateful that she did. Because she may not have wanted to live, but I sure do.